CPAP seminar. I'm Encore Desai, Assistant Director of CCR, so happy to jump in here today because I have the pleasure of introducing a colleague who whose work I've long admired, and so it's been great to have you join us here at UW-Madison. This is Licheng Liu, who is brand new, Assistant Professor of Biological Systems Engineering at UW and CALS. And who was brought in here through both jointly RISE AI and RISE Earth, if I understand correctly, because CALS did a call that was for AI to enhance agricultural and natural systems, which sounds like exactly what you work on. So, and so you've got your bachelor's and PhD from Peking University in Earth and Atmospheric Sciences, and then was a postdoc and then a researcher in bioproducts and biosystems engineering at the University of Minnesota. And then has been here since January, right? So into the wolves you go. Lots of great people here to chat with. Recent research interests have included, I think as related to this title, developing knowledge-guided machine learning models for various aspects of Earth ecosystem modeling, including for carbon and nitrogen cycles. I believe that was a little bit of what we'll hear about today, with the title of the talk being Knowledge-Guided Machine Learning for Ecosystem, Carbon Sequestration, and Greenhouse Gas Modeling. Also, I should come into.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anchor, for the great introduction. And it's my really great pleasure to be in this seminar. And I hope my talk can give some insights. I prepare some materials trying to adapt the knowledge also to the climatic science. So let us see what you can get. My topic is mainly focusing on the carbon sequestration and greenhouse gas modeling for the agroecosystem and the natural ecosystem. I'm going to give you this outline to first trigger you to know my whole seminar. I'm going to discuss a little bit my research motivation, and then what is knowledge-guided machine learning, some details on that, and the research highlights on KTML implementation in ecosystem modeling. And then at the end, I would like to introduce some ongoing works trying to broaden the partition of AI in the ecosystem sciences. And the first is my research motivation is why I'm very focused on the ecosystem, because our nature takes millions of years, close cycles, and sustain. Let every cycles they are sustain each other, and eventually can support the livings on inside them. But our human beings only pop up in the maybe recent, at most maybe 2,000 years, changing the whole things. And then you can see that the global population has increased dramatically, and to recent decade, then causing a lot of subsequences and changing the ecosystems. Like the land use dramatically changed, water use, energy use, and they caused a lot of like tropical forest loss, nutrient loss to the ocean, nutrient pollute to the water and ocean, and also the carbon dioxide, which can potentially cause global warming. And that's why we are trying to let the ecosystem sustain again. And to sustain the ecosystem, we need to sustain the carbon, nutrient, and the water cycles inside the system. But we also need to consider the climate system impact, like the interannual variabilities, and also the recently increased the frequency of the heavy rainfall, increased the temperature. We need to consider the climate system impact. Also, our human beings can manage the system to a little bit through some ways like fertilization, irrigation in the agriculture, and also we can controlling some emissions we produce, and also land use planning, conservation practices, restoration of some natural ecosystems potentially can help sustain the ecosystem. So this to sustain the ecosystem, the process is going to be very complicated. But there is one rule we need to remember, that we can't manage if we can't measure. And the thing is that we need to measure the ecosystem first, then we can manage the ecosystem. And the goal of marrying the ecosystem is to obtain the sufficient data to describe the ecosystem processes at different levels. But that is extremely challenging because of, I have summarized here two main challenges. The challenge one is very high heterogeneity in soil, vegetation, and management. And here is a demonstration of a single eddy current tower over this large space with high heterogeneity. And we all know that might not be sufficient. And another challenge is the ecosystem, the physical and biochemical processes are very complex. And whenever we try to marrying the ecosystems, we try to understanding the whole processes, but we normally can't measure every process's outcomes. So that might be the mainly two challenges prohibiting us learning the comprehensive view of the ecosystems. Then the thing is, we know that the AI revolution is here. And what I want to ask this question, what comes to your mind when talking about AI? You don't? Yeah, okay. That might be something we hear as a teacher most. But they are truly changing our lives in recent days. Like the 2021, maybe end of that year, and the ChatGPT comes out. We know that LM enables human-like conversations. And also 2024, the Nobel Prize awarded for applications in the physics and chemistry. And also we know that currently deep learning things applications in many fields empowers our lives like normal everyday lives. So that is a very game-changing thing of the AI. But the question for our scientists would be, how can AI be used to improve the ecosystem understanding and eventually achieve the ecosystem sustainability? And here I have summarized something in my mind and how AI and multimodal data we have already collected to advance the ecosystem sustainability. With the AI for ecosystems, we might be able to harmonize different data from different modalities like the in situ and sensor networks. They came from the remote sensing, meteorological data, the biochemical, and the geospatial survey data. There are a lot of them, and synthetic data, so like generated by some models or some scientific understandings. And also on the right side for the ecosystems, we can use this synthesized data and AI tools to assess the greenhouse gas emissions, carbon sequestrations, productions, water qualities, air qualities, and eventually a lot of things, soil health, biodiversity, climate resilience. So today I'm going to focus mainly on the first red parts, the greenhouse gases and carbon sequestration production. Okay, then we might be wondering the other part of this topic is what is knowledge-guided machine learning, especially in the ecosystem sciences. And here I would like to use these two-dimension coordinates to introduce the modeling work and together with the marrying works. Unfortunately, the in-situ measurements with a single site, they can only provide really limited of the data and the limited scientific knowledge. And we want to extend this kind of knowledge, and modeling is this way to measure and predict the phenomena that are difficult or impossible to measure directly. And there can be mainly separated into two approaches for modeling works. And the one approach is we call process-based model. And this kind of model is designed based on scientific understanding they are trying to mimic one or several processes and characterizing the functioning of the complex systems. And these kind of models, I would like to give you one example of the detailed look inside the model. So these three questions are representing one processes of the like one kind of chemical, like methane concentration changes in the soil and its oxidation and production rate. So this is one representation of a process in the this kind of process model. And the whole process-based model can have dozens of such processes with hundreds of parameters, and normally can over 1 million lines of code. So I have summarized the limitations, pros, cons of this kind of model, and you can see that these models can reach a medium level of the accuracy and with high interpretability and low data needs because it's based on scientific knowledge, but the efficiency and structured data flexibility are really low because they are very rigid written, and with this 1 million lines code, if you want to add a new variable, you might need to rewrite a lot of things. So that might be the limitations of this model. And another side is on the high end of the use of the data is conventional black box machine learning models. Machine learning is a subset of the AI and is mainly trained using a lot of data and trying to let the model learn by itself rather than human programming the whole process. So the machine learning model is built on the machine learning algorithms and trained primarily on the data to recognize certain type of the patterns and make predictions. So these kind of models, why I call them black box machine learning models, because I want to distinguish with later on what I want to introduce knowledge-guided machine learning models, which is specific design AI models for science. And these conventional models actually covers over 80% of current AI applications. And here are some examples like the black box machine learning models you might already heard of, like the recurrent neural networks considering temporal dependencies. Convolutional neural networks use a lot in computer visions, remote sensing product processing, and transformers like they are one kind of machine learning models used a lot in the language processing and are also the foundations of the GPT and many current large language models. However, all of those models are black box models. They are learned from the data directly. They didn't consider any scientific knowledge accumulated over hundreds of years by humans. And so that they are having significant limitations in extrapolate to the new scenarios. And they also have some limitations like interpretability is very, very low, and they normally need huge amount of data to train the model. But they also have the really good advances, like they can reach high accuracies, they can have high efficiencies, and structure and data flexibility. Adding a new variable to this kind of model is really easy. It's really easy comparing to the process-based model. And we can find that they seem to be compensate each other. And the only thing left is, can we find a way to combine the strengths of these two models and to let them serve for us as a whole for a single direction? And then there is a way. We have explored this direction over the past 5-6 years. We call that the hybrid AI models. And under this concept, there are a lot of groups. Today, I'm going to focus on the knowledge-guided machine learning, but there are also other terms you might already heard of, like the physical informed neural network (PIN), and also the differential programming, and all those things is trying to open the black box and add human knowledge inside the AI models. And these hybrid AI models mainly can overcome these two kinds of challenges I have mentioned before, like the process-based models mainly face the challenge one. They are because mainly limited by the data usage efficiency, so that they have hard time to capture the high spatial heterogeneity, and also the machine learning models, because of the huge amount of data need and to train a single processes, so they have hard time to represent the complex soil processes. So the hybrid AI models combine these two strengths, potentially can reach the high data efficiency and the mechanistic realism. So that is the strength of the hybrid AI models. But we need to carefully design the AI model. And the next question is, we have introduced a lot of good things about AI models, knowledge-guided machine learning, and but the question is, how can we incorporate knowledge into the AI models? And one approved solution is KTML. here I would like to use an analogy, robot learning cooking skills to tell you how the incorporate the knowledge, the common ways we incorporate knowledge. And you can imagine that black box machine learning models learn to do work is just like a robot learn to do like doing like cooking a pasta from the trial and error, combining millions of different ingredients and operations together, eventually get a final pasta which can be edible. But that is it takes a huge amount of time of the trial and error. And but we human already developed our like food system or cooking skills for over thousands of years. We already have those recipes in our mind or in our book. So we have the opportunity to encode those recipes directly into the humans, the robot brain, to let the robot learn the cooking the pasta following this structured knowledge. So we call that knowledge-guided architecture. And also, we have a lot of well-trained human chefs can cook really good pasta, and so that we can let the robot to observe those well-trained chefs to learn the skills, so that they can reduce some very stupid mistakes during the trial and error steps. And at the end, we call this knowledge-guided pre-training. And then at the end, we also have a way that set up some fundamental rules during the cooking processes, and the robot will not know that the temperature cannot exceed like over like 100 Celsius. The water will change phase from the liquid to the gas, so they will not know these kind of things. And we can set up rules like do not cook liquid water over 100 Celsius. Do not burn the food. Human didn't eat that burned food. So these very fundamental rules can be set up in the robot brain, so that the robot can start following optimized trajectory toward to the very good end, like the better optimal and the cooking delivering pasta soon and better than the trial and error. So that is what we have organized the ways to incorporate knowledge into the AI, but not limited to them. Later on, I'm going to introduce some examples using these methods, how we exactly, in some scientific questions, incorporate knowledge, using these ways incorporate knowledge into the AI and achieve some specific jobs. Okay, some research highlights of the KTML. And example one, I would like to introduce what the one important work is trying to advancing the agroecosystem's understanding and more specifically trying to give a better quantification of the carbon budget in the U.S. Corn Belt. And U.S. Corn Belt produced a huge amount of corn and soybean and support the global corn market. And I also would like to highlight this global carbon budget is a real market. Even some like global warming research is hard to see, but carbon budget is really exists market we need to consider, and it's based on the 2025. Some messages here may not be very aligning with message in your mind, but they are something I got from the one report. And so the market is huge, and we need to consider that we need to get a better quantification ways to measuring the carbon budget from different sectors, so that we can design better like supply chain accountability, and also eventually help like increase the global carbon quantification and climate change mitigation, help the climate change mitigation. And here I have summarized 3 key points, and I want to highlight that agriculture plays a really important role here, because agriculture is can be both a source because of the fertilization or the respiration can produce greenhouse gases, while the some biomass accumulations or organic carbon accumulation can be a sink of the greenhouse gas. So this agriculture plays a dual role, and also it's a heavily human-managed land. Our human can influence the greenhouse gas sink and source by managing the agriculture. So that's why I'm focusing on improving the agricultural carbon budget quantification. And here is a publication in the 2024 trying to generate reliable quantification of the agricultural carbon fluxes, crop yields, and the changes in soil carbon stocks at high resolution, and trying to enhance the carbon budget quantification over the Corn Belt. And what did we exactly do to incorporate knowledge into these AI models? And the first thing is we encoded the recipe into the AI models. Comparing to the black box model, we opened the black box model and incorporate this knowledge to let the model knowing the differences between the different outcome variables. Like we have, as you can see, we have separated, grouped the variables into plant relevant output and the soil relevant output. And we also have designed carefully designed the correlations between those two variables and feedback loops from the plant to the soil, and how the soil support the plant and the future years. And right after that, design this architecture, we also use our AI model to observe a chef. And here the chef is the ecosystem. No, not ecosystem, it's a process-based model called ecosys. And this model, we use this model to generate millions of detect data and use this data to pre-train our AI models. And then the AI models can get some prior knowledge before entering into the real world observations. And then right after that, we also have some controls during the processes of the model learning, doing the prediction of the yield, RH, and NE. We have added some very fundamental rules like the mass balance rules at the daily time scales, and those variables can show balance with each other. And we also had some stressful control, meaning we add the definitions of some variables into the model, let the model know that certain variables can always be above zero, and some variables are within certain range in the nature world. And some response control calling can be referring to something like we are clearly knowing that the GPP or some certain variables can have a increasing response to temperature, and this kind of response can be incorporated into the loss function as well to let the model know that we already got some knowledge how those variables respond to the certain inputs. So those knowledges we have added into the loss functions to controlling this AI model learning trajectories. And eventually, we also use some knowledge guided extrapolation. We know that some certain variables are really important to guide the model to adapt to the new positions. And we use GPP. GPP is gross primary productivity, representing the photosynthesis of the plants. And these things can be basically all the input of the plants over the agricultural region in the Corn Belt. So we use the remotely sensed GPP as the input to guide our model to extrapolate everywhere. So that I have not introduced this using the analogy before, but this is also something we need to consider, assimilate some useful information into the model eventually. Okay, let us see how the Kittimer model performs comparing to others. And here I have give you 4 bar plots, and all those plots I want to highlight 2 things. One thing is those red boxes are representing Kittimer models. Green represent the process-based models. Blue represent the machine learning models. The Kittimer models can always outperform both process-based models and machine learning models in all scenarios. And in different each plots, you can find from the x-axis from left to right representing the data we input into the model. And this data size, like we're trying to indicate that the machine learning model might need huge amount of data to train, while the teachable model, the process-based model, don't need that many data to train. And more importantly, you can also find even with data zero situations, teachable models can work very good comparing to the process-based model, while machine learning models can't do such a thing. So this high accuracy give us some very promising results for the carbon computation. And we also want to highlight that this teachable model, because it's a machine learning model, can be very efficient to extrapolate to everywhere. And we have compared with the conventional process-based model ecosys, and the ecosys is running very slowly. And if we want to run these high-resolution results over this corn belt, this ecosys model needs 5.9 years using 1,000 CPUs. While the KGML or any other AI models, if you develop, can finish this task within 1.6 days with only 1 GPU. So that is how AI changing the computational efficiency and enable the high resolution product and currently. So KGML can also do such kind of thing, but it can also maintain the physical like mechanical realism. So that might be another advantage comparing to the pure machine learning models. And I also want to highlight why what are the contributions of each constraints to the KGML performance. Well, how each component contribute to the our final predictions. I here use NEE, the net ecosystem exchange. This is a measure of the net carbon emission and sequestration. Use this as the outcome as a demonstration to show how each component of the KGML contribute to the final performance, demonstrating in R squared. And here, pure machine learning models without assimilating the GPP here, we can find that it can only reach about 0.4 R squared, and with some uncertainties. And while the assimilating GPP can increase this performance to 22% to about 0.6. And because of the GPP, as we mentioned, is the source of the carbon of those plots. And we also have tested the evaporation, LAI, soil moisture, and all those variables. If assimilated to the models, they can, to some certain levels, also help improving the predictions of the NEE, because they are representing certain processes and basically provide more accurate information of them. And then pre-training, we have found that pre-training using synthetic data generated by ecosys can further increase this performance 15%. Because of this pre-training gives some pre-knowledge, and especially in some unseen scenarios, the pre-training can let your model at least follow a certain rule that the process-based model running. So the pre-training that your AI models can be run in the unseen scenarios with some reliability. And the knowledge-guided neural network structure, the architecture constraint, we add another 0.03%, and then the knowledge-guided loss function add another 2%. Here I want to see that those two items, they are adding limited performance to the NEE prediction because they are not targeted to improve the accuracy. They are designed, those two terms, architecture and the loss function, as I have mentioned before, they are trying to increase the interpretability of your model results. They are adding extra layers of your model so that you have more ability to explain your results, to let your model following a certain process rules. So those structure and loss function, they are trying to do such kind of job, and they are not targeting to add performance, but we still find a slightly performance improve. And also there is another chance that these two processes are, because the performance is at a very high end, so the adding actual actual terms like structure and loss constraint will not add too much performance improvement. But we also have done like 4 factorial tests of different kinds of components, and we always find this pattern that the structural loss function will not contribute too much of the performance, while the assimilating new data pre-training can add significant performance. But structural loss function can give you more ability to interpret your results. And then let's come back to the real application of this model and connecting to the carbon budget. We talking about the carbon budget. We always talking about the carbon credits, which is something about the insurance, the how we pay the farmers because of the certain implement the certain amendment in the implement to their fields. And here I also want to introduce another term called basis risk. This basis risk basically is estimated carbon credit differences between how they differ from the real delivery of the certain fuels. So this kind of difference, no matter positive or negative, will be converted to the absolute errors, and we call basis risk. And here is a demonstration of the how basis risk being reduced by the resolutions of your model. And if you have a finer resolution with a reliable output, you potentially can save $500 million per year only from the U.S. Corn Belt and the corn soybean production. So that will be a huge amount of the saving and of the some mistake in the investment. So we are trying to demonstrate these applications and KGML applications, because KGML it has the high efficiency, reliable predictions over the every 0.0025 degree fields. So it has a potential to help save this much dollar. And that is example 1, and I'm trying to go faster about the example 2. And the example 2 is trying to advance the natural ecosystem understanding with a hybrid AI, and with a focus of the wetland and methane emission from the wetland. The why I care about the methane, because the methane is a major contributor to the global warming. Here is a study showing that if we didn't consider the methane, we only control the CO2. We can easily reach 2 Celsius degree in the future around the 2050. And when we considering the CH4, because the CH4 has more than 30 times the warming power of the CO2, so that the CH4, when we considering the CH4 together with the CO2, we have a more possibility to reduce this temperature increase below 2 Celsius. But even the CH4 is very important. It has a really complex pattern comparing to the CO2. We can see that the increasing pattern in the atmosphere is very complex, because you can see it is slowed down between 2000 and has some stable region in the middle. And in the recent decades, 2 decades, and it start to rapid increase again. We didn't understand quite yet about the mechanisms controlling those increasing and stable patterns. That's why we are having lower confidence to give very reliable mitigation plans. And the question here would be, what are the sources of things of the CH4 that can explain this methane dynamics? Then right after that, here is our current understanding. The methane immediately removed by the different reasons. Like here it is summarized the methane sources, like 30% from the natural microbials, 30% fossil fuels, 35% from the anthropogenic microbials, and also burning, the biomass burning and biofuel burning contribute about the rest of the 5. Then all those results are estimated results. They have large uncertainties I want to highlight. And another side is the methane sinks. The methane mainly reduced by, in the atmosphere, mainly removed by the atmospheric oxidation in the by the OH, and the soil contributed the other 6%, and then the troposphere oxidation contributed over 85%, and then the stratosphere contributed about 7%, and soil contributed another 6%. And today's topic, we are trying to focus on this part, is the wetland, which is contributed 30% of the methane sources. But the methane, even with this part, we have a huge amount of uncertainties because we are having very distinct marine ways. And you can see we are here. I only list the 3 ways: chamber, anticline tower, and tall tower. They are marrying methane fluxes in a very distinct perspective. Like chamber, they are trying to cover a small area of the land or water, and they are narrowing the fluxes only from this certain type of the soil or vegetation and covers, and they are linked to the processes very much. While the aircraft towers, they covering about like 1 square kilometers, and the large areas may include both maybe bare soils, vegetation covered soils, and wetland. So we normally can't treat the aircraft flux tower as a single flux source, but flux integral. And the tall tower covering even larger area, like over 50 can easily reach over 50 square kilometers, and they are representing the flux integrals of the large scales. And we also have different kinds of modeling approaches, and trying to, based on the different kinds of measurement, give estimations of the global methane budget, like wetland methane emissions. And the estimations you can see here, the numbers are quite different from the top-down inversions and the bottom-up modelings. And also within each kind of modeling approaches, they also have huge amount of uncertainties because of the modeling, maybe models uncertainty itself, and also the different usage of those data. So we have huge amount this kind of uncertainties, and the question would be, can we reduce these uncertainties, and can we combine these 2 different approaches and the different kinds of data sources together, give the most reliable wetland methane emission estimates. And the thing is, I want to first introducing a synthesis group and a working group called AI for Natural Methane. And AI for Natural Methane working group founded starting from the 2023, and we are currently have over 50 active scientists globally and working together trying to synthesize the different kinds of methane data with knowledge-guided machine learning. And we are having, we have had these annual meetings hosted in the NOAA, like for 2024 and 2025, and we are still going to have another meeting hosted this year. If you are interested, you can visit our website. You can find a way to join our working group. And here is our our perspective, trying to harmonize the data from different sources. We are aware that the methane data came from different kinds of sources, ranging from the different skills and the different communities, like marine communities and also modeling communities. And all of those data are meaningful. Like from the data ranges, like resolutions can range from like maybe very fine resolutions, can covering microbial activities, genomic trees and activities, and to tall tower and remote sensing covering large regions. And while on the other hand, it's about the modeling works, and they can range from the inversion models, biochemical models, and microbial models. And all those data, we are having them, but they have never been synthesized together. And but we know that they are trying to explain the methane emissions or the methane dynamics from the different angle. And eventually, all of those things should be synthesized together and give us a comprehensive view of the methane dynamics. So this is the main work conducting in the AI for natural methane. And we have published our first harmonized results recently, and harmonized a small set of this data. And based on that data, we have done some experiment testing current widely used AI models. We have benchmarked 11 AI models and 4 different kinds of transfer learning methods. Transfer learning methods, a little introduction here is transfer learning methods is methods that we like you can understand as a method that we are adapting one model trained on a certain entity to another entity, and without losing the knowledge learned before. And we use that prior learned knowledge quickly adapt to the new locations that called transfer learning. And there are different kinds of ways in the AI science. And you can find here, we have summarized 4 kinds widely used methods: fine-tuning, residue, adversary, and reweighting. And we also tested 2 common cases of the scenarios, like it's one space out of sample and temporal out of sample. And from our findings, we find that, from our investment, we find that all those models, they can do relatively good performance in the temporal auto sample, but they are poor at space auto sample. And we are further investigating the reasons behind that, and we find that the anti-collapse towers are very imbalanced, distributed globally, and you can see most of them, we only listed the wetland sites, so some of the sites may not be listed here, but most of the wetland sites are in the northern hemisphere, and this region, southern hemisphere, tropical region, we have very limited sites can represent their situations. And we also compared our AI model performance. And the darker light color representing the good performance, while light color representing the poor performance. You can see this performance map and following the same pattern as the site distribution. Basically, you have more data, you will have better performance. You have whenever you have poor data like collections, you are not be able to have a good performance if you are using a black box machine learning model. And black box machine learning model cannot help you to extrapolate your data to some region without any data. So we have some solutions. The long-term solution is we build more sites. We build sites on the locations where didn't exist before, but that might not be very cost efficient. So we have some short-term solution. We can integrate some scientific knowledge in extrapolation, and that will come to the knowledge-guided machine learning approach. We are still at nascent stage because we are only 2 years right now, but we have some really good results. Like if we let a model of the shaft here, shaft is a process-based model representing the methane dynamics, and here we can find that our pre-trained model, which represented at the purple line, can better match the observations comparing to the model trained from scratch. Trained from scratch, if extrapolated to the spatial auto sample, basically it described nothing. You can see there, it didn't understand this site situation. While the pre-trained model had prior knowledge, it can capture the complex dynamics over this certain site. And also, the knowledge guide loss function, we have added causal relationships between inside the loss functions describing the methane dynamics, how they relate to the precipitation, temperature, soil properties, and then we add these discovered causal relations into the loss functions then we have found this kind of way can significantly improve the model temporal auto-sample and spatial auto-sample ability. And the red boxes representing our final models. And we are still trying to explore this direction, trying to reduce uncertainties in the methane dynamics and through modeling. And welcome to reach out to me and see if you are interested in joining the working group. And I also would like to see some other projects to enhance the ecosystem understanding with HTML. And I also have strong interest on them. The first is water quality and nitrogen, water quality and the nitrogen concentration monitoring. And the second is also we are having a lot of projects about the precision agriculture, developing the knowledge value computer vision, combine these take pictures with AI models to enhance some early harvesting or precision harvesting and maybe pest control. And eventually, I'm also very interested in the global carbon cycles and trying to better understand the plant and soil processes. And here I demonstrate one project related to the partitioning the autotrophic respiration and hydrotrophic respiration in every agricultural site and providing a global product of these partition results. Okay, given the time, I still want to give maybe use 2 to 3 minutes to introduce how to our ways to broadening the partition of AI in the ecosystem science. We have made some efforts, and I'm also very passionate about this part. And how to bridge the AI and ecosystem science. And we are basically working AI scientists and the ecosystem scientists are basically working in 2 communities before, and they didn't communicate that much. And AI communities but AI for science is a big wave right after the revolution of the language and the computer vision. And AI for science can be a very important topic, already being notified by the NSF and many funding agencies. And but the AI communities has a hard time to join the team because they are wondering how to use and interpret the ecosystem data. And while the ecosystem science also have a hard time to use the AI because they are wondering how to use these advanced AI tools. They don't understand the underlying mechanisms, and some of them need heavy programming. And some people working in our fields may not be very familiar with Python, PyTorch, and what are those things. And the thing is, we might need to reduce the boundaries of the 2 sides to join the AI for ecosystems. And one thing is we can co-design the AI-ready ecosystem benchmark dataset and trying to bridge the ecosystem observations with AI communities and brought the user to accelerate the AI-engaged ecosystem research, education, and the industry. And here I highlight some data types and challenges when we harmonize the AI-ready benchmark dataset. They might not be aware that our datasets are cross-skill, as I have mentioned, and some of them are synthetic, and some of them are real observations. We need to clearly identify them and give them a really good understanding of the data structure so that they can better use of the data. So here I have a pathway of these kind of efforts, and developing an AI-ready benchmark dataset is not only data harmonization. We also need to design the benchmarking matrix and the protocol, and also we need to design a way that the people quick access and the easy use of the data. So all those steps need to be done so that we can call an AI-ready benchmark dataset. And the final goal is we want to let every data users become a data designer, let them join the data product design team so that they can better use of the data. And another direction is we need to co-design the user-friendly AI for ecosystem interface. We might need to consider how the ecosystem scientists use the AI tools. Do we have a better way to use the AI tools? Do we have a easy way to access those advanced tools? And here I have summarized the main task may be done, which can be able to bridge the ecosystem computing with broad users, including the students, researchers, stakeholders, and policymakers. And there are two main parts. One is the framework should be generic enough, and so every people can understand. Then, because of the current advances in the language models, we potentially can design a conversation-like interface that the users do not need to program it by themselves, and let them to communicate with a chatbot, then let the chatbot and connect to the agent to help you design the model you want. And we have put huge amount of efforts on this direction, trying to let every AI user become an AI designer so that you can design the AI models best adapt to your own research work. And we have designed a platform called Python. This is a library that make the knowledge guide machine learning model development way much easier. Like here I demonstrated previously the Kitmo model development in Python in 1,000 lines. And right now we reduced to about 100 lines with some command code. You can do the work. And currently we have already done the second part. The third part is ongoing right now. We are trying to connect them with some current AI tools like the RAG and the agentic AI, so that ensure that you can use this AI as an the language model as an interface to communicate with our Python Kitmo library. You don't need to even write down the 100 lines of code, but you might need to answer 100 questions the AI asks you. And here is an overview of the current Python Kitmo, and the right bottom is our GitHub, so that if you want to join the test team, you are very welcome to go there and test our model. And that might be everything I would like to introduce. Thank you so much for your attention. Sorry for
That was really great. Thank you very much. Really appreciate the presentation. We can certainly take a little time for questions if the audience has any questions for Licheng. A lot of information to digest.
So, in using the synthetic data for pre-training,
Yep.
are you using more data and more parameters in that pre-training, and then when you apply it and you have less observables? Is that how that works? Or do you have to pre-train with exactly the same number of input variables that you can be using
Yeah.
in practice?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. That is very tricky. It's actually this can depend on your needs. It's up to you. If you have sufficient data to train more variables with your synthetic knowledge, with your scientific knowledge, you can generate way more variables than the real observation have, and train a model. And then the model can later on adapt to a scenario that have very limited observations, maybe of a few variables. That can be done. But if you don't have that comprehensive view of the system, you can only design maybe based on your empirical understanding of the certain variables response to a few input variables, design some synthetic knowledge, and that knowledge can also help. So this knowledge, no matter how complicated, no matter the complexity it is, it can always help as long as they are containing your understanding of this topic.
And the second question on that, you showed, it was looking at risk, I think.
Yep.
You showed 0.0025 resolution
Yeah.
predictions.
Right.
What input data do you use to constrain that scale?
We are
higher
using.
resolution.
Yeah, thank you for the question. We are using remote sensing data. Remote sensing data can go down to really fine resolution. And here we are using GPP, and it's a second level product from the first level remote sensing product, synthesized product.
So it's like aircraft data?
Not aircraft data, it's from the different kinds of satellite, like MODIS and also some dense set with high frequent data. So we are combining two kinds of data, high frequent data and high spatial resolution data together, synthesize one data called slope. So thus the slope data can have a high resolution together with high temporal spatial resolution and temporal resolution.
I have a question. Really nice talk, and it was great. When it comes to definition of knowledge guided, could it be one of those components, like just the loss function or just the architecture, or do you feel like knowledge guided machine learning has to include all of what you're talking about, with the pre-training and the architecture and the loss functions? Like, at what point does it become knowledge guided, and at what point is it just like, a different flavor of mental engineering?
Yeah, that is a really good question. So defining of the knowledge guided machine learning model is very flexible. And as long as you are thinking your model is constrained in the extrapolation scenarios and with knowledge, your model can be defined as a knowledge guided machine learning model. And the constraining ways can be through multiple directions, as I have mentioned. It doesn't have to be include all the approaches. You can either constrain them using the approaches I have mentioned, like the loss function constraint, pre-training, architecture constraint. You can also design your own ways incorporating the knowledge, as long as your model, when they extrapolate to the unseen, out of temporal or spatial scenarios, they have a way to follow. If they have such ways to follow, your model is knowledge guided machine learning model. So we are using this way to define that.
You can tell that's the reviewer of this paper.
Oh yeah.
But we are also changing.
There is not a specific definition of that. I also have mentioned there is different kinds of ways that we can understand. Also, there are different names of this kind of hybrid modeling, like physical informed neural network. Also, recently there is a biochemical informed neural networks, and you can use any kinds of ways as long as your model can be reliably extrapolated to some other where.
So, interesting comment that you run into more problems with the wetlands trying to go to places where you don't have data.
Yeah.
I've seen that for other examples. Is that something I assume that is just consistent regardless of what you're modeling? That it's just a data limitation problem, that
Yeah.
if you extrapolate into new places or in new times, you get into new errors or bad predictions?
That is not a data like model issues. That is a data issues.
Right.
That is definitely data issues, and we are testing different kinds of models, trying to see whether that is a model issue, which is not.
It isn't, okay.
Yeah, it's not. And then we also think that data issues is not isolated because it's also related. We should consider. We try to find a way not only extrapolate the data from those single those sites, but from other supporting information to see whether it can help. And the model generated synthetic data can be considered as such kind of data. So they can simulate it everywhere, and they are following certain rules. And we are extrapolating our model in that location, and we found that this can help improve your performance.
But in that case, though, you're assuming that the rules from this place also apply to that place, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
That might be the reason.
Seems like where the problems can come. I mean, you
Yes.
don't have the data to show you that there are different rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's like out of context learning.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So along those lines, sorry, we done Emily?
Yeah.
Along those lines, you're I forget what you call them now, maybe a couple sites where your transfer models, right?
Yes.
Basically going from one, yeah, exactly, your transfer learning methods. I mean, there would be some instances where if you applied those to another site that had similarities to others that you've seen, you would expect them to be better. Is that fair to say?
Yes, yes.
So there it is more about the characteristics of the site, perhaps more than the ability of the model to interpolate into some characteristics that it might not have seen before.
So for this question, we have tested different kinds of ways, and the captors or the measured captors over a certain size will be very dominant. And if they can be directly measured from the site, that will be the ideal situation. But in most of the cases, they have not been measured, or they are outdated. So we might need to consider a situation that our ecosystem are continuously evolving, and with new things happens not only in space but in time. So we need to ensure that data are continuously feeding to help us give reliable predictions. So the measuring methods, like currently maybe like some chamber measurements or aggregate tower measurements, singly, isolatedly cannot be a reliable source for the extrapolation. And maybe that is a key point that we want to demonstrate here. And the captors, we might want to ensure the more captors being introduced in this model. And these captors can be observed and can also be synthesized through some scientific understanding. And we add some knowledge which can be understood as synthesized knowledge from the process-based models. And this knowledge we have found, and they are helping extrapolation our model to on single locations. So it means that these captors can help, but they don't have to be measured everywhere, but they can also be simulated. But the very ideal situation is we measured everything by our hands. But until that point, we might need to find some short-term solutions that this can be one of the short-term solutions.
Great, thank you. I think we should end it there. Let's thank Licheng again.